Okay. Hi guys. So we're SolarCar. I'm the project manager, Lizette, and then
I'm Thomas. I'm the suspension and steering lead engineer.
I'm Jigger. I'm the battery lead.
And I'm Susan. I'm the finance lead.
so if you guys didn't know about the American Solar Challenge, this is pretty much our big competition, I guess. So every year there's a Formula Sun Grand Prix, which is the qualifier to go to the American Solar Challenge, and the American Solar Challenge is a 1,500 to 2,000 mile endurance race across America. It's last summer in 2018, like June. It was from Nebraska to Oregon, but it changes every 2 years. So that's the big challenge that we're trying to go to. And of course, like the previous two projects, we want to do sustainable transportation, and we want to contribute to that by using solar energy because it's one of the most, or it is the most abundant resource to use for renewable energy. And I guess the Formula Sun Grand Prix is a closed track race. It's usually in Texas or Nebraska, and it's just a track race, and you gotta complete a certain number of miles in 1 or 2 days. So it's like 330 kilometers for 1 day, and then if you do 2 days consecutively, you gotta do 495 kilometers. So our overall goal for this year, just this year, is to build a show car. So we want to have it full mechanical car, so with the chassis, suspension, steering, braking, hopefully our body, the shelf, as you can see in the back picture. That's what we're trying to build. We won't have motors or anything like that, so we're pretty much just going to try to push the car. It's just a show car just to test our manufacturability and practice testing and things like that, just because we weren't very confident in our current design, since this is our first ever car that we're going to build, since this is our first team as well. But from then, we are also going to create a new car. So we're going to start from scratch starting next quarter with the design for the ASC 2020. And the reason we did that is just because this quarter was a little bit just about manufacturing, but we decided that we need to move forward and continue designing and always have something prepared for the future. But this year, as I said, we're just going to build a show car. But for the solar car competition, it'll just be the new design that we start next quarter. So this is how our team is broken down. So we have 3 teams pretty much, so electrical, mechanical, and business. There's a lot of overlap between mechanical and electrical, so there will be some mechanical engineers that will be in the electrical starting next quarter when we start hiring more people. But currently we only have 21 members, which is a little small, which is why we're going to hire more next quarter. So adding up all the units, it's about 168 hours per week, and that's because we were focusing only on manufacturing this quarter, so we didn't have much need for design engineers. But yeah, right now it's at 9 sub-teams, but we will split up. Some, like suspension and steering, will become their own thing next quarter. This is our current timeline just for the scope of the show car. So our overall goal is just for the entire year. This quarter we plan to complete the chassis and hopefully purchase all of the items that we need for the show car. So there's going to be 2 different budgets. So there's a show car budget, and then there's the new redesign budget. There might be some overlap in what we can take from the car, like the shocks from the show car, and put it into our real car, but that's for the future. We also want to spend the next 2 quarters manufacturing everything after we've purchased all of the lead and lag times, and hopefully assemble everything by the UCI Energy Invitational and the Spring Design Review.
So on the mechanical progress, on the design side, first of all, we found some issues when the rest of the sub-teams went to view our current chassis. The chassis is like 70% done also, just as a side note. I'll talk about that in the next section. But basically the chassis is a little bit too short length-wise and height-wise to allow for comfortable driving. So that played into our decisions to make a show car and actually like redesign with driver comfortability in mind, and then go forward with an actual car that we're going to race with. But anyways, that issue led to the brake pedal kind of hitting the top of the chassis, those tubes there. So we ended up having to move the brake pedal, which then made a confliction with the steering subassembly. So then we decided to move that. So basically steering, braking, and suspension sub-teams found a workaround around all these issues, and we moved the steering subassembly back about 15 inches. So the steering box, originally it was in front of that crossbar there, and then now it's behind it about 15 inches. Oh, that's your centimeters, cool, my bad. Yeah, 15 centimeters, not inches. Inches is pretty big. It's not that big. And then most of the sub-teams on the mechanical side have finalized their CAD model. Our CAD model is done except for the body. I think the body might have some changes based on how we're going to actually manufacture it. And then again, most teams have parts selected as well. POs still need to be sent out. Most teams are done with their POs, except for composition. I think we don't have final numbers for layup materials. We're not sure like where we're going to buy those from. So composition has been working on that. Next slide. So onto the manufacturing side. So composition has been working with the battery team to build a battery box prototype. And the sub-team has also been working on layup practice. Additionally, chassis has just finished welding the crumple zones onto the chassis. So you can see those there with those blue arrows pointing to this little like box on the side. Chassis, they still need to find someone who can bend our tubes for the roll cage. After we get that done, the chassis will be done. Additionally, the chassis sub-team is working to find machine shop sponsors for suspension. Their chassis focus is they're done like designing and they're kind of halted on what they can do in terms of actually manufacturing chassis. They've been helping other sub-teams with their manufacturing. So again, they're trying to find us a machine shop sponsor to machine our uprights. And then additionally, we've decided to manufacture our own seat instead of buying one off the shelf. So we went to a junkyard and bought a seat. You can see one of our members laying in it there. And then we're gonna drill our own like holes for harnesses, and then we're also gonna strip the seat and put our own like material on top of it to make it lighter. Yeah, that's all.
Alright, so for the electrical, last year we did the full design of our electrical, all the battery, the motors, everything we needed to do. But since we transitioned to a show car now, we've kind of focused less on design and more on testing, like unit tests and manufacturing this quarter and this year. So the first thing we've looked into is our solar team has looked into encapsulation of the solar cells. So the solar cells can't be exposed on the car. They have to be encapsulated in a sheet of, I think it's some sort of plastic. It must be encapsulated to keep it protected. So you can see at the bottom there's a test string of some solar cells with a power inverter. So we're testing currently the way we can encapsulate the cells to make sure that we have a process that will work when we move on to the full size car. Also, we're simulating the entire powertrain design. So our goal for this year is to have complete like simulations of our powertrain. So that includes motor loads, battery, and solar, to make sure that all the systems work together correctly, all our calculations were correct, and that can also be extended later on for when we actually race the car. We can use that to help us formulate our race plan based on how much sunlight we get on the race. It was a cloudy day, so we can make adjustments and make sure that we'll make it to the end of the race. So for that, we have been connecting together a high voltage test system. So in our car, the high voltage test system composed of the motor, solar, and battery. So we're making small battery packs and solar cells, and right now we're just making the small units together, and we're going to connect them all up to make sure that our BMS is giving us good information and all the subsystems work. So like I said, on the battery end, we have full design of the battery, but currently we're focusing more on testing. So we resistance welded some 18650 lithium-ion cells together and connected it to a power inverter. That was our first test. Since then, we've also connected it to the Orion BMS unit and gotten CAN bus information from there, voltage information. So we know we can effectively charge and discharge our battery. So yes, we have CAN bus communication with the BMS, and that also works with telemetry. So our telemetry team is working on receiving those CAN bus signals and transmitting it back to a chase car that will follow our solar car. So we have information on state of charge of the batteries, temperature of the batteries, how much current we're drawing out of the batteries. All that information is very crucial to make sure that our car runs safe. Then we're going to put all these systems together, including that test battery box that we made over there, and it's going to serve as a showcase. So our goal is, at the end of the year, is to have a system we can display along with the show car to show the public and design review what we've done and how much progress we've made on the electrical system, and kind of like a proof of concept to us to make sure that we can scale up the system and put it in the car when it's ready to go. And yes, so we also have a telemetry advisor this quarter that's helped us a lot. Ron Kessler has agreed to advise us on any questions we have.
Alright, so I'll be going over the budget. I'm only going to be going over the budget for the show car, mainly because of all the changes we had this quarter. We don't have all the information for the new design, and we're still trying to get all the information for that. So specifically, I'm only going to be going over the mechanical team and 4 specific sub-teams I have here, because the electrical team has everything they need for the show car, and we're trying to make a new budget for the new design. So overall, we'll be needing $11,200 for the show car, and that percentage is wrong. We have 33% already, and for the chassis, we have 80% of that. They need to finish up the welding and some cleaning up, and then they'll be done. The steering has all the materials and orders ready. We haven't sent out those purchase orders yet, but we will be soon. Then the suspension team has 25% of all their orders. We're still waiting for shocks and upright blocks. And as Tommy was talking earlier about machine shop sponsors, we're waiting for some sponsors currently to come back, talk to us, see what they're willing to do for us. And brakes, we have none of their material. However, with our budget currently, we have $8,000, and we actually have enough money to purchase everything. So we will have everything purchased by the end of the quarter.
That concludes our presentation. Any questions?